Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Podium International TV's channel once again. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe so that you can be informed every time we bring up one of our programs. My name is Titilola Aboyade Cole. I will be your host on Matters Arising today. Matters Arising is a weekly program every Saturday noon. Sorry we're a bit late today again. It's technical issues in the studio. My co-host today is Mr. Kayode M. Mola, as usual. Hello, Mr. Kayode.
Good afternoon, Coach Tak.
Good afternoon, Mr. K. And with us, we also have Mr. Muiwa Asheda, a veteran all the way from the USA. Hello, Mr. Muiwa. Um, can you hear
Ẹ
us?
káàárọ̀, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ káàárọ̀.
Ẹ káàárọ̀ sà.
Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Múyìwá ló ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀. Inú mi dùn láti darapọ̀ mọ́ yín. Ẹ ṣé
Ẹ
gan.
ṣé àdúpẹ́ sà. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ sà. So, Mr. K, today's topic that we'll be discussing is insecurity, war, everything that's going on around, and diplomacy. How can diplomacy help? I will give that to Mr. K. Do you want to say hello to your viewers?
Yeah, Eka so kudede àsìkò yìí. So we've all seen what's definitely going on, and many people are thinking what's happening. So we just thought we should bring it bare to the open. Our heart goes out to lots of innocent people that have died in the tragedy presently in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. So we might look what lessons we would learn from it, and so that history does not repeat itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. K. Mr. Muiwa, please, can you, for the layman, for people who don't even understand what's going on around the world, like, can you put it in simple terms? What is going on right now between Ukraine and Russia, and how did they get here?
Well, between Russia and Ukraine, it's very simple. The powerful will always dominate the weak. So in this sense, I'm going to be relating it to Yoruba nation, to Yoruba country. The Fulani is always dominating us because they are in charge of the security or the military formation in Nigeria. They are majority and they put their people there. So what I could learn, I'm not really going to dwell more into the Ukraine, Russia, because it's not really my country. I'm more focused. I live in the US. I serve in the US Army and I serve in the Navy as well. And I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan, all those Middle East countries. So I'm going to be looking at it from how can we as Yoruba people, put ourselves in a situation whereby somebody else won't be dominating us, especially foreigners, somebody that come from the outside the country. We all know that USSR, Ukraine used to be part of the former USSR, so they're trying to take back their former glory. I think Yoruba country or Yoruba nation should act like Russia, try to take back their old glory. I don't support what Russia is doing, but we need to be independent and nobody should trample upon us again. We need to equip ourselves so that an outsider doesn't take over our country and we control what we have. So I'll leave that for now.
Thank you, sir. Mr. K, your contribution.
Yeah, I agree with what my brother, Mr. Muiwa, said. Although I'm going to look for a lot of people have asked what has really happened and what has happened. My only fear is just one thing could trigger and the whole world could spiral into a world war. And I want Yoruba to be very wary of this and very conscious of what has happened, especially in the past. So let's look at the parallels. In 1939, 1st September, Hitler attacked Poland. So that was like Muiwa said a few minutes ago, the strong will always dominate the weak, and it's been so for several centuries. But let's bring it into our present century. Hitler attacked Poland on that fateful day in September. And once Poland was attacked, what happened was China, Russia and Germany divided Poland into their sphere of influence. And once that is done, before you knew it, they were also trying to attack France. Hitler had already conquered. He conquered France in 1940. So Britain joined. This joined. That joined. Now, if we come back to 2022, some over 70 years now, NATO, which is the alliance of the West, are saying we don't want to be dragged into this war. But I tell somebody that we have three cardinals: the political side, the economic side, and the military side. So those are the three things you need to have to dominate to have relevance in the world. So Russia has these three going for them. Now, in terms of saying what Russia is doing. So Russia is saying Ukraine now is the piece of meat they need to eat. So you see the West also coming in, just like Russia and Germany divided Poland between themselves. And before you knew it, we were in another war. So you now see this time around it's Ukraine. So the West, they are now fighting economically. Russia is fighting militarily. So at the end of the day, what we settle this is the political solution, because you cannot militarize another nation. There has to be a political solution. So the only thing and the prayer we should be praying now is that it shouldn't escalate into a third world war, because the two forces are fighting now. And if there is no political solution, then it could spiral into where we don't expect. And we could see the desperation in Putin. Putin is now calling the Ukrainian army to take control of the Ukrainian government. And we see a President Zelensky who has been very firm to say, this is my land, this is my people. Even America offered him to say, run away from Russia. And he said, no, I'm ready to die. If it takes my blood, I'm ready to go. And that is what, last week we talked about leadership. And that is what leadership is all about. And that is what the Yoruba nation needs. The Yoruba nation needs somebody that can stand up for it and say, yes, if it takes my life, let it take it. But let this cause that I'm fighting for, let it be a worthy cause for the safety of the generations that are yet to be born. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. K. So do you think, I'll put this to Mr. Muiwa. So what do you think, I know that you want to relate it to Yoruba nation and everything, yes, but we can't actually pretend like we don't, it's not going to affect us eventually. So what do you think is going to happen next? Because you have the experience, what do you think is going to happen next? And I'll come back to the Yoruba nation aspect of it soon. But please, people are asking questions. A lot is going on. This is actually a matter that needs to be dealt with. What should people be doing right now? Or what do you think? Is there any precautionary measure? Is there anything that people should be doing or should be aware of? I put that to Mr. Muiwa, please.
Well, with that question, what people need, like Mr. Eniola said, everything's going to be settled politically and diplomatically at the end of the day. So for now, the fight is going to continue, and they want to negotiate with the Russians. So as for us with the Yoruba nation, you go to war to make peace and to make your voice heard. And there's an achievement, there's something you want to achieve. I think there are other countries around Ukraine that they also want freedom. So those people, they are aligned with the Russians to say, okay, support us so that we can also get our freedom from the Ukrainians, so that the Russians could take their old glory back. But as it may be now, there's going to be humanitarian crisis But at the end of the day, I guarantee you, Russia is still going to achieve their aim of, trying to, expand their domain in the Eastern European bloc. So for now, they just have to brace up, because the way I'm looking at it, the United States and the European, the NATO, they don't really want to get involved militarily. They want to apply economic pressure. But at the end of the day, I'm guaranteeing you, the military usually wins the race. So for now, the people around the area should just try and take cover in the neighboring country. And the Yoruba country should also be, like, it might also actually come to their doorstep very, very soon.
Wow. Okay, so basically, if Russia is allowed to do this and get away with it, will they not do more? Will they not want to take somewhere else as well?
Yeah, they might want to do that, but they also know the extent to which their strength will actually take them. When you look at it, we have two world power right now, like actually three. I'm talking about referring to China. China is trying to remain neutral. So China is not saying what they are doing is wrong or what they are doing is right. They are only focused on the Eastern European bloc. They are not extending their influence to Western Europe, because that's going to be escalating to them. They wouldn't want to do that. They want to focus more on the Eastern European, where they normally have their influence before now. Lithuania, all those countries right there. So I don't think they're going to incur, because they know what they faced during the Second World War. So they wouldn't want to do. As a matter of fact, I won't call it a world war. It's an European war. So it doesn't really have a direct bearing. Now, see, even that first Second World was an European war, it's not a war. So we only, trying to align with one or two.
Exactly. If the two wars we fought, I would say it's European wars that have just unfortunately dragged the world into. And we just have to be careful so that the world doesn't sleepwalk into another world war.
That's my major concern. I'm thinking, like you said, Mr. K, earlier, that any wrong move might turn into a world war. And if it turns into
and where it normally comes, where the wrong move comes, is the economic aspect. I said we have three aspects: the political, the military. Now, what is United Nations doing? This is the failure of United Nations. It is the failure of United Nations, because we have 197 countries in the world, and out of the 197, 2 are fighting. And we have superpowers, we have great powers, we have major powers, and they're all looking to say, okay, go and deal with yourself. And when
isn't that what they're doing with the Yoruba people as well?
That's the same thing. It's the same thing we are saying. Because the great powers, what they've done is they've aligned themselves that we will continue to dominate. So it's just like a bully looking at another bully doing what they are doing. So they have no morality to stand to say, okay, so the only thing they can do is, okay, we will sanction Russia, we will sanction some few banks, we will do this, maybe it will hurt them and this and that. And that is where the problem now lies. Because
we've seen sanctions flying all over the place.
Yeah,
even Manchester United.
Sanctions affect everybody, whether you are directly involved or indirectly involved. It affects everybody. So sanction is not going to affect Russia alone. It's going to affect we in Europe. It's going to affect those in America. It's going to affect those in Africa. It's going to affect people in Asia. It's going to affect everybody. While sanctions would help, it's not going to solve the matter. And as a matter of fact, it is that sanction which aims to target the economic side that always spiral the net effect. And I'll give you an example. So one of the sanctions was that what's it called? British planes would not fly through Russian airspace. And what Russia in retaliation said, the British Airways will not fly through our own airspace as well.
Yeah.
So before you know it, they will say, okay, Britain is already taking sides. So Britain is now a target. Now, even if you don't target, they don't fight Britain directly, they could fight one of the allies, which could spiral into something nobody wants. So it's an unfortunate situation anyway, but let's just keep our fingers crossed. Ukraine is saying they are ready for dialogue. Russia is saying they are ready for dialogue, but the terms of dialogue, I don't know how it will. Maybe Mr. Muyiwa can
I
help
was just
us
going to
because
say that.
he's been experienced in those fields. He can tell us what's going on in the minds of the troops, both the ones on ground, both the ones in the reserves, both the ones who would come up as backup. I mean, something must be going up in their mind, and even Putin, what's going up in his mind.
So, Mr. Muyiwa, please, can you shed some light on that for us? Do you think dialogue will help at this point?
Like I said, we go to war to make peace, but the Russians have to show that strength because actually, I'm not really following this story into details, but I know the Russians, they're going to flex some muscles, and the other countries, they're worried of, well, nobody wants to go to war. But at the end of the day, they're going to come to the round table and say, Russia, what do you actually want? And at the end of the day, some of the countries around Ukraine is going to get their independence, and Russia is going to have their way. They're going to have their way because the Americans are not really. If they don't attack American directly, they don't want to be involved. They could just station their troops around Poland, around those countries, but they don't want to get direct confrontation because it's going to cost human being and funding from the tax, from the taxpayer. So they don't want to involve, except they actually attack America, which they would never do.
Yeah.
They just want to have their influence around the area, and that's it. So the fighting is going to continue for some time. Then they will come to the round table, and Russia will have its way. That's where I could put it.
So more people would die, and a lot of people are already stuck on the ground taking refuge. And this is just Mr. K. Thank you, Mr. Muyiwa. So, Mr. K, what's your take now? Like Mr. Muyiwa said, people should leave the country and take cover.
Yeah,
and seek refuge
it is.
elsewhere.
The unfortunate thing is now every male between 18 and 60 is being conscripted into the army, whether you want it or not. Ukraine has a population of 44 million. So quite a lot of their neighbors have said all Ukrainians are welcome. So which is a first good move in line with what Mr. Muyiwa is saying. So first, they should look for safety for the women and children. Now, in terms of Russia also winning, it's going to go two ways because Russia thought it's going to be a quick get in, get out, get what you want, and Yoruba man sọ pé ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjà la mọ̀, a kì í mọ ìparí ogun. So it's now going into day 3. It's going into day 3, and Russia is still not even captured, got what they want. Their major aim is to paralyze the government, and Ukrainian government is still standing thanks to leadership, which we discuss and we'll still revisit in another episode. For those who can leave now, I mean, the call is being on for quite some weeks for them to leave, but the threat was not really coming home. Now it's now gotten home. And I can understand for so many people who have not left before. Yesterday, I was watching the news, and some stories of some Ukrainian men who were fleeing with their families had to be conscripted into the army and taken back. That is people being separated from their families. It might be the end, the last time they will see them. We don't know. But Ukraine has always still maintained that let's have dialogue. And Russia is a superpower. There's no doubt about that. And Russia will eventually get what it wants. And whether the war ends now or not, Russia will get what it wants. But the major problem is, could diplomacy has solved this before now? That is another aspect we need to look at. because I said earlier that this is the failure of United Nations. What is the role of United Nations in maintaining peace? For me, it feels like the United Nations is just an office block somewhere of some bureaucrats who does not face the real issues of the modern day 21st century. So we need to really start looking at diplomacy in this our contemporary world as the new focus for conflict resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. K. Now let's bring it home to Yoruba land. Mr. Muiwa said he will see Yoruba people as Russia. I kind of see Yoruba people as Ukraine in this matter, but I know where he's coming from. I know his angle, because for me, we are trying to break away. The Yorubas are trying to break away from the country called Nigeria, and Nigeria is trying to. The Fulanis are trying to muscle in to our territory. So how does this apply to us? What lesson should the Yorubas take away from what's going on right now, Mr. K?
Maybe Mr. Muiwa would explain.
Mr. Muiwa, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Muiwa.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay. I said you related Yorubas to the Russians trying to take their land back.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, in my own opinion, yes, we have our land, but I relate the Yorubas to Ukrainians trying to save their land from the people who want to take it by force. So how should we relate? What lessons should the Yorubas take from what's going on right now?
Okay, this is how I'm going to relate it to the Yoruba country, in the sense that we are indigenous to our own nation, to our country, right?
Yes.
So when I say we should take the Russian side, is when you remember, like, like last 2 years, there's this country that broke away from Ukraine called Crimea.
Mm.
When you look at that, Russia got what they want militarily. The way I'm looking, I'm not saying we should be an aggressor. We should not take what doesn't belong to us. But what we should learn from the Russian part is we need to be equipped. We need to be ready militarily so that nobody should trample upon us, try to pull us down. That's it. That's where I'm looking at it from. Not like we should be an aggressor, take what doesn't belong to us. We don't have to go to our South Igbo land or Edo land to go and take what belongs to them.
Yeah.
But we don't want anybody. But if we are not strong, we are not like formidable in our own land, somebody will come from out there and mess us up in our own land, like what is actually happening now. So we should be formidable we should like step up to equip ourselves militarily. So whenever somebody is coming, even before they come, we go outside the where they are when we know they are trying to find towards us. So that's why I'm saying we should take we shouldn't just be the docile one that somebody could just trample upon. We shouldn't be like Ukraine. If Ukraine is formidable military wise, it will be difficult for Russians to come in. Even while they were planning, they already bombed. That's what America would do. They will go to they are still bombing Iraq now. They are still bombing Syria, some part of all those countries. Like there's this general from Iraq that was killed like 3 years ago. They know he's planning something towards the American, so they went right there and took him out. So that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be docile like Ukraine. We should like try to build up our military, train our people, in all ramification. Whenever something is coming, we see it coming. So we prevent it. Like there's an election coming up. I hear a lot of people say no election, but I guarantee, I just came back from Yoruba land as well. Election is going to take place.
Oh yeah.
So we could have different perspective on who is going to contest, but I'm not really going into that. But for you to be able to be formidable, you have a leader. You have to be in power. You have to be in charge. So you could control whatever comes to your country. You could bring weapons. You could train your own people. So when you are taking decision that favors your race, other people are going to be making noise, just like Buhari is doing now. Buhari is appointing everywhere. It's Fulani everywhere. They have taken over. Because why? Because they are at the top. So from the top, they appoint all their own people down. Their own people also appoint those people at the lower level. But
Yeah, but that's
for
not allowed in democracy, though.
it's not allowed, but you see, that's why we say the powerful will always dominate the weak. You always look after your own interests. You can't be your children can't be hungry, and somebody else children is hungry out, and you have one loaf of bread. That's not even enough for your own child. You're willing to help them, but you have to feed your own child first.
True.
So you have to look after your own interests. So Russia is using that to look after their own interests. I'm not in support of their aggressiveness toward Ukraine, but they used to dominate those areas. Those areas used to be under them. And some people around Ukraine are saying, no, we also want our independence. That is giving them because they say, oh, we are trying to help somebody. Ukraine is dominating somebody. So we're trying to help them, gain their freedom. So Yoruba, we should also equip ourselves so that we won't be like Ukraine, that somebody could just trample upon us.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Miwa. But it didn't go. Ukraine are not really taking it lying down. Russia obviously is bigger than them, has more military muscle, more financial, more everything. They're bigger in all ramifications. But really and truly, I don't think the Russian president expected what's going on right now, because they're not taking it lying down, are they, Mr. Miwa?
Oh, you mean in terms of resistance from the
Yes.
Ukrainians? Oh no, everybody's going to fight back, definitely. But at the end of it, they're going to be overpowered.
I know.
They will definitely. If there is a war in Nigeria today between the north and southwest, which is Yoruba country, we are likely to be defeated because we don't have. Not that we don't have people, but we don't have what to fight with. So that is why you have to align yourself with some powerful nation, like Mr. Miller said earlier. The United Nations, they are just like a toothless bulldog. They could have been inside the Ukraine if they are truly working. So I don't really believe in all those international organizations. What you have to align yourself is maybe you bring China into your country, or you bring United States if they are willing, and it's not for free. So when they know they are stationed there, they won't want to come in there because they're already there. So when they are using this diplomatic economic sanction, it can only work for a time, but Russia, they're going to have their way at the end of the day.
Unfortunately.
So it's just the world we live in. It's so imbalanced. There's so inequalities, impartiality. So if you really want something, you go for it and align yourself, and you have to not do things right all the time. If it requires craziness, you have to apply craziness. So it's not fair and justice anywhere in the world. We only just try. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miwa. Mr. Kayode, Mr. Miwa mentioned something. He said Yoruba should equip themselves, they should be ready, but we all know that they are taking away all weapons from them. They're equipping the Fulanis with the AK-47s. They're allowing them to carry knives, carry guns. They're not allowing the Yorubas to do that. How then can the Yorubas equip themselves or be ready for this?
Well, Mr. Muiwa is a military personnel.
Yeah.
He's been to several wars, and he's been to Iraq, he's been to Afghanistan, he's been to several other places in the Asia Pacific. He's been to Guam and so many other places. So there are so many ways you can equip yourself. It's not until you see a gun before you get equipped. The first equipment you can give to yourself, it's your motivation. First, what is my motivation? And that is why you see the resistance in Ukraine. That's why it's working. So the equipment part is just the later part. Now, the Yoruba nation, we have several veterans like Muyiwa around the world who already have experience. We can tap into their experience. So all we just need to do is get a platform that will bring them together, and then they can start brainstorming on how they can well help to defend their motherland. or their fatherland. So there are so many things we can do to equip ourselves. So we've got our local vigilantes. Why can we not start putting them into formation? There's so many things we can use. Our forefathers.
Sister Deborah Cole said, Ayeta on offer is part of our weapon.
Yeah, no, when you're fighting, Muyiwa said, when you're fighting, sometimes you don't have to say you want to do the right thing all the time. Although, even in wars, there are rules which you have to follow at all time. But sometimes the right thing might be for you to stand your ground, and that is what you have to do. So even if you have a commander that say you have to move your position, if the right thing for you to do is to stand your ground, you have to stand your ground. Look at President Zelensky. Even though it was convenient for him to say, oh, I am the target, I'll go and form a government in exile, the right thing for him to do was to stay in Ukraine and show leadership. Imagine if President Zelensky took the next available flight. What do you think would happen? By now, Russia would have finished launching their flag on Kiev, the presidential palace in Kiev, which is what we saw in the case of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So it shows that when you have puppet leadership, you get puppet results. Like in the case of is it Karzai in Afghanistan? Even 3 days before they got into his city, he has run away. But you saw a Zelensky who stood his ground and said, so we need people to come up now and say, okay, I am going to lead the Yoruba people. I am going to stand for you, and I am going to put you into formations. So it could be diplomatic, it could be economical, it could be whatever. And that is what Muyiwa is trying to say. We need to equip ourselves. It's not only when we get a hard military weapon. If you stay on the right path, on the justice path, you will see nations that will align with you and say, yes, we support because what you're fighting for is justice. And when you're fighting for justice, you will definitely get it.
President Zelensky even went to the war front.
Yeah, with his own military combat. He's not a military man, but he
went there.
And he called his people and he said, let every man stand up and defend Ukraine. And that is why Russia is confused today. And that is the kind of spirit the Yorubas should have, that let every Yoruba male be ready to free themselves. Muyiwa mentioned it. He said, it's our land. We are not aggressive against anybody. It's our land. So if we are ready to stand for our land, then definitely we will get our land. The cheating and everything will stop. We will be able to put our economy back into where it should be. Children will not be fleeing. Our children will not be dying in the desert. Our brothers and sisters will not be slaving themselves in other countries and even in our homeland. So those are the things he's meaning when he say we need to put ourselves in order. Because if we don't put ourselves in order, then that's where the problem is.
Oh, fantastic comments. Mandy B said, Russia may defeat Ukraine, but you cannot defeat an ideology. Ukrainians in diaspora are returning home to fight for what they believe in. How many Yorubas are willing to die for Yoruba nation?
I know of so many Yorubas that are willing to die for Yoruba nation, even in the diaspora. Like what I said earlier, if we begin to get ourselves into formation, a lot of people in the diaspora will be ready to return home to defend their father and their motherland. I am very certain of that.
I would like to put this to Mr. Muyiwa. Mr. Muyiwa, sir, do you think a lot of Yorubas are willing, because I don't believe that they're willing to go back to fight? Because I see a lot of social media warriors. I see a lot of people standing in safety, in their safety zone and talking. It's not everybody that is taking action. We have the people who are really working day and night to take action, to actualize the vision. But Mr. Muyiwa, please, what's your take? on Yorubas in diaspora? Are they willing? Do you believe they are willing to go back home physically to fight for their land?
Yes, I believe there's a lot of Yoruba in the diaspora, even in the United States. Not all of them, but those who are really passionate about Yoruba countries, who are willing to come back home to fight this cause of Yoruba country so that we could be independent. But the thing is, when you don't have what to fight with, there's nothing you can really do. When you don't have equipment, just like a farmer going to farm, well, even though I just came back from Yoruba land, there's little I could do, even though I know how to handle machine gun, I know how to handle all these things. But when I don't have access to it, how am I going to do it? But I will guarantee there's a lot of Yoruba in the diaspora, even at home, who are really willing to fight and die for what they believe in. I know it could be like an ideology, but what is an ideology in the face of gun? There's nothing you can really do. But in Nigerian situation, it's really peculiar. If we had to have our own, let's say the president of the country now is a Yoruba person, I could still do more things that I could actually do when it is somebody from the other ethnicity, because they will know that this is my son, this is my child. He's trying to fight for this land. They're saying what is right. I'm not saying wrong people like Obasanjo. I'm talking of people like who are more like who are more patriotic to the Yoruba cause. I'm not sure about Tinubu, but I could say somebody like Awolowo, Pajash, who are really self-conscious about developing Yoruba country. If they happen to be the president of Yoruba country, of Nigeria, you see more Yoruba people coming out, displaying what they do have. Like we have Sunday Igboho, trying to make his statement. You see, he's been arrested. But I'm guaranteeing you, if the president happens to be a Yoruba president, what is happening to Mr. Igbo won't be happening to him. Even though they may not really align, but they won't go attacking at his own. So Nigerian situation is really peculiar. So we need to have our own child up there, for many Yoruba people to be able to display what they have. Like I just came back home. I just want to give you, I think somewhere around in Kotun, there's a lot of Fulani Okada riders there. I think he was just trying to cheat on a lady, and this Baba was trying to intervene. What did you do to this lady? And this man bring out a plank, and on the Baba say, and the Baba died instantly. And they took him to the station. The police are saying, "Oh, we can't handle this Hausa Fulani. They own this country. It is their brother that is up there." So they released him right there. So the man just died for nothing.
Oh my goodness.
You see, when you have your own child up there, when you have your own child, I'm just talking about Nigerian peculiar situation. If you have your own child up there, we will have the same sentiment. There's a lot of things you can do, and you will get away with it, especially when you are fighting the cause for your own ethnic group or ethnic nation, which we call Yoruba country or Yoruba nation. So, but I will guarantee there's a lot of Yoruba people who are really patriotic, who are willing to go back home, but they have nothing to work with. They don't have that institutional backing. The government is in the hands of the foreigner in Yoruba land, so there's little or nothing they could do.
Thank you very much, sir. So what then? What would be the advice? What can they do now that we know the situation? We know that okay, they're willing to go back, no weapons to fight with, no access to it. So what can be done?
Anyway, what can be done for me is like we all want Yoruba nation. We all want Yoruba country. But our means of getting it, which I've discovered, Mr. Eniola, a lot of people disagree with me. We say we want you. How do you want to achieve your Yoruba country? How do you want to achieve Yoruba nation? People they'll say, "Oh, we're going to fight." How are you going to fight? Do you have the backing of other countries that's going to support you? Look at Benin Republic. Buhari is there. He put Mr. Buratai as the what's he called it? The High Commissioner there, the ambassador there, because Eastern Benin Republic is an extension of there are Yoruba people over there. But because of this election coming, they know if there's going to be anything that is going to come to Yoruba country, it's going to come to Benin Republic, weapon or mercenary. So he put their own son there to really monitor what is going on. So as it may be now, I would say support one of any Yoruba that is going to contest for the next election, a presidential election. Whether it's Tinubu, whether it's Oshibaju, whoever that is a Yoruba, even if it's the dumbass Yoruba, kindly vote for that person. When you say there is no election, there's going to be election. I just came back from Yoruba country. Vote for one of your own to be there. So at the custom, at the entry, they're going to put Yoruba people there. So you're able to bring in weapon. You can invite other countries to come station in your own country and they will support you. Mind it's not for free. So that is what is happening in Saudi Arabia. Americans are stationed in Saudi Arabia. Americans are stationed in Singapore. Americans are stationed in Germany, in Poland. So it will be difficult for any country to invade Poland because they know they have the American backing. Even though if you don't go with America, I'm just saying like Israel. But for you to make that decision, you have to be, at the top because the Nigerian president controls everything. It's unlike in the UK, the power of the prime minister is limited, but in Nigeria, they controls everything. One is the head of police just for the whole country, and they will appoint their own people. So vote for one of your. That is the only way out. As at this time, I'm talking to you now. Vote for one of your Yoruba people that is going to contest the election, even though they are all not good. It's not going to put food on your table, but it might help in naturalizing what we call Yoruba nation. Because people is going to talk to them. We are the economic backbone of this country. All the trade is in Yoruba land. You see, when you still have your plate, your registration in Ogun State, in Ondo, wherever in Osun State, all the proceeds goes to Abuja and they distribute it around. It doesn't stay where it is being, where people pay for it. So you need to have one of your own up there to be the president and make the decision to appoint the chief of army staff as Yoruba chief. Put everybody as Yoruba. Employ more weapons. Take the Amotekun to Israel or wherever, to Colombia to go and train. Bring in weapons. When you started making serious decisions, nobody's going to talk because you have the power of the gun.
Thank you, Mr. Muiwa. I kind of have a different opinion.
I know what Mr. Muiwa is doing.
So I want Mr. K to talk. Yeah,
it's strategy.
Because you know where my head is at.
Yeah, we'll leave the strategy aside, although we do say there's not going to be election, but Mr. Muiwa is right because I have been in Yoruba land. Mr. Muiwa is just come back some few days ago, so it's quite terrifying. We're supposed to have done quite a lot of homework because a lot of our people do not even understand what we are saying when we talk about self-determination. In fact, a lot of people think self-determination is a swear word that they want you to shut up and not say it. But self-determination is your right. It's our right. We keep saying it. I support and I believe in self-determination. For people who are scared, come and kill me, come and arrest me. If self-determination is an illegal word, it's a right word. It is enshrined in the United Nations Article 1, subsection 2, that every nation has a right to their self-determination, provided they have their own land, their own whatever, and they can determine their own economic and political future. So for those who are scared that, I don't want to mention self-determination because if I say it, then they will carry me. No, self-determination is your right. Let's establish that first. Self-determination is also in the African Charter, Article 20. The Nigerian Constitution also recognizes self-determination. Now, but in the issue of whether there's going to be election or who to vote for or who not to vote for or where the power lies, I am not going to dwell on that. I am definitely not going to dwell on that because our focus, I've told people, the election has been going on since 1914, even though we are not the people who have been electing those who lead us. So up until 1952, when we had semi-sovereignty, Britain has been the one electing. So that's been election. Election has been going on one way or the other. So, but now we are talking of organizing ourselves as Yorubas. And the challenge I see is that we have 3 Yoruba clans now. We have the clans that believe in self-determination. We have the clans that believe in restructuring, and we have the clans that believe in Yoruba country, the Nigerian project. So that is the 3 clans we have, and that is why it's a bit of a challenge. Now, if you look at a lot of those who believe in the Yoruba, in the Nigerian project, they are those who are benefiting from the rot of the Nigerian system, who want the status quo, who do not want it to change. If you see those who are fighting for restructuring, those who are fighting for restructuring are saying, let us be on the safe side and fight for our rights. And those who are on the self-determination side are saying, we no longer believe in Nigeria and the process, whatever process Nigeria brings. And we don't want to. So for those who believe in self-determination, I don't think our concern should be 2023 elections. That's just me. Whether the election will hold or whether it will not hold, that is not for me to decide. So I don't want that it's everybody's right. They have a right to vote. They have a right to decide, which I am not going to deny them of their rights. But what I'm trying to say is, if people are so focused on 2023, we may be so focused on 2023 that we forget the main objective, which is getting Yoruba country. I believe our aim should be to make it really difficult for them to even say, you know what, maybe we should not do this election. Maybe we should just allow the Yoruba people go and have their country. So are we going to get it militarily? I don't know. The experts would say. The experts would, if you look at the report and the figure, you'll be like, oh no, we cannot get it militarily. Just like a lot of people we are looking at the statistics and saying Russia would overrun Ukraine within 2 days. It's now 3 days, and Ukrainian has put a lot of resistance, and quite a lot of countries are now, people like you and I are donating £1, £2, and sending to Ukraine and saying we support you in this fight. We see your resistance. So if people see what you are doing, if people believe truly in what you are doing, because the fear is, by the time you say, okay, let's go and do election and come back to start this fight again in 2023 or in 2024, number one, not only would we have lost momentum, we would have lost focus. Because by the time you elect a new government, all you are doing is, let's now allow that government consolidate power, and let us see what they will do. And you know politicians, they are the greatest liars, that they will never do whatever they say. So my take is, let's just even forget about whether 2023 will happen or not. Our own is, let's start putting ourselves into formations. Like I said earlier, let's start putting ourselves into formations. Those who would begin to seek international support for the Yoruba country, those who will begin to seek political support, diplomatic support, and even military support for the Yoruba country. Let us begin to align ourselves into formations and say, even if it is a broom that I can add to that bunch of broom, let it become whole, so that when 2023 comes, whoever comes will know that these people, they are different, and we need to start engaging them.
Thank you very much. But thank you, Mr. K. But Mr. Muiwa said something that's very important, and we need to address it. I know that, yeah, we don't want to concern ourselves with elections and all of that. We're saying elections will not hold, even though the Yorubas don't have a cogent plan for stopping the election so far. They don't have it yet. A cogent plan for making sure that the election doesn't hold. Okay, so let's just say the election is going to hold. Should we have plan B? Do you think the Yorubas need to have plan B? Because Mr. Muiwa touched on a very, very vital point by saying, put somebody you trust. But do you know, so far, these people coming out, can we really trust them? So far, are they trustworthy?
No,
one moment, please.
Yeah,
we have Yorubas that have ruled us before that were not loyal to Yorubas. So by experience, who can we even trust? Where do we go from here? Let's say we want to put a trustworthy, let's say we decide that if all hell break loose and the election will go on and it will happen and it will take place, who can you see in view? Thank you. I'll give that to, please let Mr. Muiwa respond to that, and then Mr. K, you can then say something.
Well, like you all have said, I would guarantee you like 99.9% of all the Yorubas, they want to have a sovereign, independent Yoruba country. But if you are in that political limelight, you have to watch what you say. For us, at the, speaking from the distance, we are free to say whatever we can say. Like our line, we have a lot of groups out there, and I already talked to Mr. Mola Bari. You see, we all aiming towards the same goal, but our aims, our way of achieving them is totally different. In Nigeria today, as at this present moment, election is going to take place, and there's nothing nobody can do about it. Election is going to take place, even though we don't want the election not to take place. Even the election doesn't take place, we can disagree to agree, but our objective is the same. Election is going to. I just came back from Yoruba land. You see, they just had their primary in Osun State, and election is going everywhere. If the Yoruba people are saying, "Oh, we don't want election," I don't want election. I want an election just for the Yoruba country, but that's not possible at this moment. So when we now say, "Who can we trust?" All those people are the aims of every. They have to watch their language. Even they know there's a differentiation of Yoruba country. We don't really achieve. We are not living up to our standard. We don't control what we have. So once you have that power, just like Yoruba will say, whoever, if it is the dumbest Yoruba that is going to be there, please kindly put them up, for election. Vote for them, and then you talk to them. You can't really tell whether they're going to be doing this or they're going to be doing that. We only have Obasanjo as the only Yoruba that has ever ruled us. That's the only guy, and it's not even like really patriotic towards the Yoruba cause. He believes more in one Nigeria. Even though when we look at this guy, I don't know him, Tinubu, in 1997, he said, "I don't really believe in one Nigeria." Whether you have to put Tinubu or for now at this present day in Yoruba land, who can you put forward that has a lot of influence? Even though they are going to go over there and do the wrong thing, who can you really put there? It's either you're talking about Tinubu, or you're talking about Shibaju, or you're talking about Fashola. When you look at those three guys, they are all still coming from the school of Tinubu. And these people, they rule Lagos. They know what they're facing. You remember when Obasanjo would tell the fund for Lagos? I've never seen any northern president doing that to anybody in the north. These people know. I'm not saying they're going to be there and do what is right or what is wrong. But if you don't put your own people there, somebody else is going to be there, whether it is non-Yoruba, definitely. And when you have non-Yoruba at the helms of affairs, they control everything and you lose out. So why can't you support one of your own? That's just the game plan. I'm telling you, there's going to be election in Yoruba land. Even though Mr. May, we could disagree a little bit, but definitely there's going to be election. When you say there's not going to be election, okay, that means Fulani will continue to rule you. Okay, we have the Igbo people, they be clamoring that they want independence. Have they achieved it? No. The job people, the middle belt, they say they want to achieve independence. Have they achieved it? No. But I'm guaranteeing you now, if it is the Fulani people that has what Yoruba people has as at this time, and they said they wanted to leave Nigeria, nobody's going to stop them. You know what? Because they controls everything. They have the weapons. So if they say they want to leave, because they don't have anything, that is why they want to stay in that Nigeria. So if you to have your own people over there, you have your own. We have the resources, we have everything in Nigeria. We feed Nigeria, but we don't benefit from it. So if our own is right there, and then you appoint this and say, "Oh, we control this thing." Okay, if you don't like it, let's break the country. But your best bet is still have to have one of your own people there who could negotiate with people outside, maybe Brazil, Cuba, Colombia, Israel. Bring your military, train my own people. I would tell you, You see, I live on military installation here in Florida at a point in time. Most of the Nigerian personnel they sent here, they are Fulani people. To be trained as pilot, to be trained in certain field of endeavor in the military. You see, Nigerian president is so powerful because it's a centralized system of government that we practice. So when one of your own is there, you see, even though when Obasanjo was there, it was the kind of fear. It wasn't really benefiting Yoruba. He would say he will appoint from the Igbo land. It's tried to be like, fear to everyone. But look at what the Fulanis are doing. So all I would tell you that it's still better for you to support. It's better to have a little bread rather than to have nothing. You're going to lose big time. Even though when Jonathan was, that many Yoruba were there. I'm not saying those Yoruba that were there, they are benefiting. They are not giving us money. Our people are still suffering. Things are still the same. But I'm telling you, go to the NNPC, go to everywhere. The Fulani dominate everywhere. So it's still better for you to have one of your own people there. Then you could not be clamoring for Yoruba nation when of your own is there. And there's going to be anarchy if they are not allowed. So that's just my own point of view. I'm not saying they're going to do it when they get there, but it's still better for you to give them benefit of the doubt.
So basically, we're giving
thank you, Mr. Muyiwa. And I like it when we disagree because that means he can bring his own point and then I can bring my own. And to be honest, your points are very valid. When you have your own there, definitely, yeah, it's easier to fight for what. But what I'm trying to make people understand is we should not believe that if a Yoruba man is president of Nigeria today, then they will do what Yoruba wants. Now, it's even going to be more difficult to fight the battle if you have a Yoruba man there. And the example is when we had Obasanjo there. Imagine when we had Obasanjo then, and you say you want to fight self-determination. I'm telling you, more than half of the people fighting self-determination would have been gone by now. So if we say because we want to have Yoruba people there, then we saw what happened in Lekki Tollgate. It was on Yoruba land, ordered by Yoruba men to kill innocent children on the streets of Lagos. So as much as I want to agree that, if we have a Yoruba man there, it could help. To me, all I can see is we have a Nigerian there who is the president. I don't even care if it is a Calabar man, or if it is an Igbo man, or if it is a Fulani or a Kanuri. But what I know is those who stand on the path of truth and justice would always prevail. Even though Ukraine might be the small country today, the fact that they've been able to hold the Russians down for 3 days has made the world rethink. Even if Russia is saying, we are invisible, we can bring you down, we can do this, we can do that. Before Russia would take up arms against another nation now, they would think twice. Although I know Russia is now threatening to attack Finland and Sweden and other countries because they have the military muscles. What I'm going to tell people is, let's not focus at all on 2023. So my take is, don't go out and vote or go and vote. That is not my call. My call is, let's focus on creating a Yoruba country. And when we get that country, how can we manage that country so that we Yorubas don't start fighting ourselves? That is all I am after. And that is why I want people who are on the self-determination. Yes, election would come, election would go. 2023 would come and 2023 would go. Whether we get Yoruba nation before then or whether we get Yoruba nation after then, the focus should be Yoruba nation is our destination. How do we get there? Sometimes when you go to fight this kind of battle, you don't expect to win all the time. But if you stay on the right path, at some point victory would come. Let's take, for instance, Nelson Mandela, one of the freedom fighters in South Africa. Nelson Mandela went to prison for 27 years, 27 good years, But Nelson Mandela never said, because I have a profile, because I have a name, because I have a platform, let me go and contest under the apartheid South African government. Let me be at the table so that I can change things. He was able to change things even right in prison. Now let's come to Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah was one of the people who fought tenaciously for Africa independence in the 1950s from the colonial masters. What happened to Kwame Nkrumah? There were 6 of them. We've got this present president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. His father was part of them. His father was part of those who fought. They were the big 6. 5 of them believed that let us contest elections under the British system and let us ask for independence small. That's how they put it. Nkrumah was one of the people who said, independence now, the British must go. They didn't believe in it. The 5 of them, the British told them, go and contest election, we'll make you whatever. And Nkrumah was put in prison. Nkrumah said, provided it is his own Ghana, he will not agree on that. He contested elections, and from prison, he won elections, came out, and fought for the independence of Ghana. And that is why Ghana was one of the countries in West Africa that got their independence early. They were the first country in West Africa to get their independence. I think they must be the second country after Egypt, because Egypt got their own on the 1st of January 1956. And Ghana got our independence on the 3rd of 6th of March 1957. So if people want to vote, I am not going to be against them. If people don't want to vote, but my own is those who believe on self-determination should be focused on self-determination and come out with a concrete plan that can take us out of that dungeon called Nigeria. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Muyiwa, for your great input. I really respect your own views, even though we agree on so many things, we disagree on some things, but we're still friends. We've been friends for more than a year now, so, and that is how it is.
Thank you. I think next week we're going to need to discuss the plan. That should be the topic, because we keep saying, oh, self-determination is our right, we have to do this, we have to do that. We need a real plan, like a roadmap. The Yorubas will say,
you want to reveal our secrets to the enemy.
Exactly. I just said the Yorubas will say, but what I want us to come and discuss here is what we need to take to the streets, what we need the Yorubas to know, what we need the Yorubas.
Well, we can have that. The only thing I would say is we need to intensify our campaign. That's all.
Exactly. So let's bring the campaign live first on Saturday, because we're going to have to, for somebody to follow you, you need to let them know why. You want somebody to change their mindsets, you need to let them understand. Our youths, the young people don't understand. Half of them don't understand. So we need to create programs. We need to create topics, bring it to them and share it with them. Like, this is where we're coming from. This is where we are. This is where we're going. This is who you are. Because a lot of them in diaspora, they don't even understand. They'll say, I'm British, I'm American, I'm Canadian. So it doesn't matter. They should go and ask the Jamaicans how painful it is not to know one's roots, one's original roots, where you originally hail from. They should go and ask people on those islands. In America, a lot of people are retracing their steps. So that's what we're trying to avoid and prevent from happening to our children. So next week, I think we need to come and tell them a bit of History 101, the Yoruba History 101. We'll invite other people as well. Do you get what I'm saying, Mr. K?
That's fine. I think it is
where we are now,
leadership. They should tell the people the plan they have.
Yes, the plan is very, very important. So we need to do that. We're running out of time now. We've overshot our time by 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Is Mr. Muyiwa still there? If he has any.
No, Mr. Muyiwa left the studio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mr.
I
Muiwa,
was
we
thinking
would
if
like
he
to
has
say a
any
very big
parting
thank you
shots.
to Mr. Muiwa, the veteran all the way from the United States of America. We thank you from Tisilola Nicole, myself, and Mr. Kademola.
Thank
Anyways,
you
we are
very much.
looking for, we need reporters in Yoruba land. We need reporters. If you're a reporter, a journalist, or anybody in the media and you would like to join Podium International Media, please get in touch by sending an email to info@podiumtv.co.uk. I will repeat, info@podiumtv.co.uk. We thank you for staying with us today. This is something that needs to be done by everybody together. So please share the video. If you have not subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please subscribe. For the people watching us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, please follow and like so you'll be notified when we're here. We're here every Saturday anyways. And we are committed and dedicated to bringing it to you as it is and discussing. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sister Toyin. God bless you, ma'am. Needed is not just refuse to vote. Yeah. Okay. So next week we will open the phone lines so we can discuss, so people can phone in. I am really grateful to the following people today who have been contributing since the beginning of the show. Sister Deborah Cole, thank you very much. Sister Sheon Obisheson, Lola Olasunkanmi, thank you. Mandy B, thank you. Mommy Ojo, Liz Doze, Moses Adeleke, thank you. And who else? Sister Toyin, Child of God, thank you. Dave Marlowe, thank you. To refuse to vote, but to also ground the system. Bang. Mr. Dave Marlowe said the strategy needed is not just to refuse to vote, but to also ground the system. We're going to discuss strategy next week. Thank you very much from myself and from Mr. Kayode Mola. We'll say, see you next week, same place, same time. Please remember to share with others because we're discussing real topics, real issues that's affecting everybody all over the world. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. Ciao.